Do you have one? Oh,
Oop, there he is.
there he is. I'll be quiet.
No, can't be quiet.
Kathy, it sounded like you were almost having fun there.
It was. Yeah, we went to see a movie at the Alamo Draft House, and that's just a lot of fun there. So, but now we're seriously into COVID again in Colorado, so we're a red state.
A new outbreak, or
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people in the state have been vaccinated, but there's a lot of tourism, and there's a lot of college students, and I don't know what all. And then in the rural areas, it's getting really bad. People that hadn't been vaccinated are mostly from the rural areas.
Yeah.
Anyway, kind of depressing.
Yeah. We my dad's best friend since high school days, his second wife was one of my father's secretaries for many years, and that's how they met, and they've been married for about 20 years now, but she just passed away from COVID this last week.
Oh.
He got it out somewhere and brought it home to her, and her health was fairly fragile. She was a dialysis patient.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really awful. It's really awful at this point that we're still losing people who are at risk, and you would think nearly 2 years on that.
Yeah.
To
That's right.
still be, someone was, she wasn't perfectly healthy. She had her problems, but she wasn't about to die.
Yeah.
And, he brought home COVID, and a week later she was gone.
Oh, that must just feel terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And my parents, they're in their 70s now, and their health isn't good. So it's hard on them. This is one of their oldest friends, but having to tell them, like, you're having all these people in, we're not coming to the funeral, I'm so sorry. Like, that's really rough on them. But you do what you have to. What a great way to start the week. Alamo Draft House. That sounds fun. So that was a big downer. Sorry about that.
Well, tell us about the retreat last week.
Was that just last week? It seems like a month ago. My goodness. Well, let me say hello to everybody. First of all, I came in right at the 2:30 mark, I think. And so it looks like Ron is here, and Kathy and Sidra and Judith. I don't see anybody else. Have I missed? Let me look at the gallery.
Rana was here.
Oh, and there's Rana.
I'm here. Hello.
Hi, Rana. And Denise.
Hi.
And Mary. Hi, Mary. So
Mary is
happy
here.
to see you.
I was
And-
trying to get up, so I tried to get online at 1. When did we change time for you?
Oh, months ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, like
last
last
weekend.
June.
Yeah.
I think it was before I did the knit along with Suzanne. Her knit along is at the same time that we were meeting, and so I
Okay.
changed the time of this back then.
Oh,
Hi,
Mary,
Cindy.
you're knitting.
What?
Mary's knitting. This is Cindy.
Yes.
Hello,
I want you all to
Cindy.
know, first of all, Cindy and Mary have been meeting with me the longest of anybody. They met with me all through January and February, just the three of us. So they are charter members of the Zoom weekly meeting for Phrancko.
We've
And
had
if it
some
were-
good buds.
If it were at 1 o'clock, that's what I cemented in my brain.
I get, it was 1 o'clock.
That's when it was, yeah.
And so you're gonna have to get out the concrete chiseler and
I guess so.
uncement it. So Kathy just asked about the retreat, and Cindy was there. So Cindy, tell them about the retreat.
The retreat was fantastic. It was so nice. There was people of all levels for knitting, folks that were like really beginning. One lady that even sat next to me she had difficulty with the difference between garter stitch and stockinette. And she was really, really nice, but she didn't know, but she had heard about it and she wanted to come and she wanted to learn. And then there was, I don't know, was it like, would you say 10% or even as many as 20%, Frank, that were master knitters that had just done huge amounts. And it was so exciting to see all the different garments from cast on that I'd seen. Frank wore a different sweater every day. And then always you'd see the one, it's like, oh, that was on the cover. I saw that one. And so that was really, really fun. The hotel was beautiful. Food was delicious. Shibui Knits came and spoke one night, and we got to see all their different garments and fibers that they had, and they had them available for us to test and everything too. So it was really exciting to see all these celebrities for me.
How many attended?
There's just 50. So it was actually a nice small group that you could get around and get to know and see everybody. Heather Storta taught classes as well as Suzanne did. And I took all of Suzanne's classes. And it was really funny because I did the finessing your stitches, which is similar to some of the stuff that she teaches in boot camp. And I thought, well, there won't be very much different, but I really want to be with Suzanne. And so I did it and I learned new things. And it's like, I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to hold my needles at 90 degrees. And I didn't realize that that made a difference in the diameter of my stitch that I was doing. And I'm like, oh gosh, no wonder, because I hold it very different when I do pearls from when I do knits. It's like, no wonder my pearls are bigger. So it was just really, really enlightening, a lot of fun.
That's a good place
Everyone
for
was
me to
super
come in.
kind.
Let me just comment on that class with Suzanne, because I kind of went through a flip with it. I signed up for it because it was Suzanne's class and I wanted to take one from Heather and one from Suzanne, and because I love both of them very much. And then I got the description of Suzanne's class, and it was all the things that I have been reviewing for 4 years in swatches. You know, it's how to not have the enlarged bump at the top corner of your swatch, how to do the edges so that they are even and not alternating large and shorts. All things that I look for, guttering, how to determine which way you're guttering, you know. And I thought, I really don't need that. I'm not going to sit through that. So I changed over to Heather's class, told everybody I was going to change classes. And when I told Suzanne, she said, well, you know what? I have had other master knitters sit through the class and tell me they really got a lot out of it, that they heard things they didn't know. And I said, is that right? Well, I really did want to take a class from both you and Heather, so I'm going to switch back. And you know what? I learned things I didn't know. It was great. I took out a notepad and I started writing down every time she said something that I hadn't been quite aware of. And it was really fascinating. She is such a good teacher. I thought the group was all extremely warm and welcoming, and
Very much.
I just thought the whole environment was, it was just a lot of fun, a lot of really good people. So it was a great weekend. Hi, David.
Hello to you.
Welcome to the group today.
Thank you very much. Of course, I have questions.
Yes. Well, let's get to those in just a minute. Let's finish catching up for the week. And anybody else want to share how their week has gone? And Denise, have you been here before?
I have. So
Oh, sorry.
but it's been a long time.
Oh,
I was here like maybe October of 19 or no, 20, 2020. Okay. And I had started a sweater for my husband of yours,
Uh-huh.
which turned out perfect.
Yes, you posted the
Perfect.
picture. You posted the picture in Ravel.
That was a blue one. I just
Yeah.
finished another one.
Is that right?
So that one turned out perfect. I was very happy with it. I would have gone at that time on to another one, but I had already signed up for Patty Lyons of affinity class, and it was a fully cabled sweater. So I did that, and then I just did another Phrancko sweater for my husband. But at the time I came on that time, you and Cindy were extolling the virtues of boot camp.
Yes.
And
Cindy has worked all the way through 3 levels of the boot.
I left that as soon as that meeting was over with. I went and signed up. I took, at the time it was only 30 spots. I took the last spot of that. She since then had expanded it. So
Right.
it's more than 30. I think my session is like 60 people, but I think she shrunk it down now to 40 to the next session. I don't know. Anyway, I've always felt you don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
One of those. And I've always loved taking classes, because even if you know what they're being taught, you can learn something just from the chit chat. So I've always found classes like that invaluable. But what I have learned from Suzanne has taken my knitting to just another level. Although I have to say, I did the Intarsia Swatch this past week, and I cringe every time I look at what I posted. I got totally sloppy with my pearls, and it looks awful. But honestly, I don't care. If I never see Intarsia again, I made an entire full-length coat out of Intarsia in the 90s. In the 90s, that's all I knit was Intarsia. I never want to do Intarsia again. I will walk around the block to
Oh,
avoid Intarsia. I just totally hate it. But my knitting, the skills that I didn't know I didn't have been just phenomenal. I have a friend at the same time is going through the Master Hand Knitter program, level 1.
Uh-huh.
And she was constantly texting me, can you check this for me? How do you do this? And Suzanne explained the difference between the two is.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Sorry,
Could you say that again?
No. Watch.
Siri
I don't
or-
know how to turn that off.
I know.
She said the Master Hand Knitter, you're not being taught. You have to look it up. So
That's
you don't know until you get those swatches back if you're right or wrong, really.
Right.
And
It's a
this
little
woman
scary, though.
has OCD with, she did that mitt 8 times.
No.
Oh, yes.
No.
Because there was a
Much.
stitch here that wasn't right, a stitch there, and oh my God, it's like, I looked at one of her swatches and I hated to do it. And I looked at her, I said, this is too tight. You are not on gauge. I could see right away without even measuring it,
Uh-huh.
But it's a learning experience where I think the boot camp was far more beneficial because Suzanne taught. You had an instructor in
Yeah,
front of your
I
face.
think if that had been available, I probably would have done that.
Yeah,
But since it wasn't, and I did the master's program, it absolutely changed my life.
I'm sure.
I didn't just become a better knitter, which the boot camp would do. It turned me into a knitwear designer.
Okay.
To write patterns and publish them, and to be able to write articles that have been published. In all of my publications have been in Cast On magazine, but I've published a sweater every issue for 3.5 years.
You can't find them easily though, unless I missed how to do it. But
Yeah,
I was
you can
looking for
search.
some of your sweaters
Yeah.
back in
Wait.
past magazines. There's no, you have to go through every page of of each cast on. They should have some kind of
Did you try
listing.
searching my name? I haven't actually done that.
Well, oh,
There's a
I
search
never
box.
thought of that.
They do have the
box.
search bar on the right-hand side,
Yeah,
where you're on the cast on page for whatever it is, whichever
Uh-huh.
one, and just the search bar, you can just type in Frank Jernigan and hit search, and then it will give you a list of every single article and stuff that he's done.
okay, I did not
I use
know
that. I use the search thing all the time.
Yeah, thank
The
you.
other thing is, I have a designer page on Ravelry, and my Ravelry name is Phrancko.
Right,
If you go to Ravelry and find my profile and look up my designer page, you'll see every one of my published patterns, and each one will link to a page in Cast On magazine.
oh,
So
okay.
that's the quickest way. If you just want to see mine,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
quickest way to do that.
That's what I was interested in, was looking at your designs. So I just did a swatch for a third Phrancko sweater for my husband. I'm gonna play with it a little. I'm gonna do another crew neck, but I want to do some stranded knitting. So I've kind of been thinking about it, and I think the only place to do it is just below the separation of the arms. Because the stitches, you don't have to worry about whether your stitch count is right once you figure that out.
Because the stitch count doesn't change after that.
Exactly, exactly. So,
I have done stranded work across the chest. One of the, you'll see one of my sweaters did that. I like to experiment with different techniques with each new sweater. So
right.
one of them does do stranded work across the chest and around the shoulders, and reverses the colors on the shoulders, but it's the same pattern. And it was a really interesting effect, I think.
Because that's what I wanted to do, but
Yeah.
that's got to be challenging
No, it
because of
really
the
wasn't.
numbers.
You just have to
You
Talk
just,
to
your pattern is repeated, and you just add another column to, when you add an increase, you just do one more column in that pattern in that direction.
Oh,
It's really
okay.
simple to, I mean, and it's true. It is not rectangular because it's bell shaped.
Yeah.
But that's how it works. You just, when you add an increase, you just add one more column to the pattern that you're knitting.
I'll look for that.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
brown and yellow sweater.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, it's great to see you again. Sorry, I had the vague feeling that we had met before, but I didn't know.
Yeah, we did. But you also saw the sweater that I just finished. I posted it. and
I
you
did, and
commented
I
on
loved it. Yes.
I don't know if it fit. I do know that it fits preliminarily because I'm in Phoenix. Joe, my husband Joe, is back in Michigan.
Uh-huh.
And so when he was in a few weeks ago, I tried it on and I knew I was spot on. But now it's finished. I did tubular bind offs all over.
You didn't try
Oh
my,
my God.
did you try my bind off?
Well, I couldn't see enough in your
You couldn't see, oh, the video
exactly
wasn't
what you were
clear?
doing. So I went to Suzanne
Uh-huh.
and I had done a 2x2. So
Oh, a 2x2. Yeah, I wouldn't have shown you how to do a 2x2.
well, you have to turn it into a 1x1.
Oh, is
Which
that
is, she showed that it's very easy, but she showed actually where the needle was going in.
Uh-huh.
That's what I couldn't see.
I see.
So she got that.
Well,
And
that
so
sounds
I
like
would just
maybe I
play
need
it
to
and
do that
stop and
too.
play and stop. And
Yeah.
the body took me 6 hours.
If you did tubular bind off and then did a Kitchener bind off.
That's what I did. Yeah,
Well, mine is simply the Kitchener bind off without the tube.
right.
You don't.
But I
do the
had
two or
I had to
rows.
do that conversion from 2x2 to 1x1. And I thought
know
it
how
would
to do
look
that.
better.
I don't know. I wouldn't have any idea how you.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I love the look of it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful finish.
Oh, what is
So,
that?
now he's coming in next week. We'll see if Although I'm just concerned that maybe the body might be a little too long for him, but he'll wear it.
Yes,
So, yeah.
I tend to make mine too short because I'm hurrying on and I don't want to keep knitting and then
Oh.
I've got all these sweaters that I keep having to pull down when I wear them.
Oh, yeah, no, that's annoying.
I
Yeah.
know. So I've decided to mend my ways and knit longer sweaters and not worry so much about that.
Slow down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice chatting with you, Denise.
Nice chatting with you.
Judith, are you here? Judith, if you're speaking, you're muted, so we can't hear you. No, maybe she's not here. Sumner, haven't seen you in a long time. How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm on another Phrancko sweater.
Ooh,
All right.
oh, lovely
That's-
yarn.
Yeah, it's Rowan felted tweed.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Your
My
second
niece-
one? Your second?
my niece was yelling at me. She said, you know, you haven't knit me anything.
That's a nice thing to hear.
Yeah, well, after her mother stole the last Phrancko sweater.
Oh, did she?
But
How,
it-
how many have you knitted?
this is my third.
This is your third. Oh, okay. Great.
Is it? Yeah, yeah, it's my third. Yeah, I'm really excited. With these sweaters, it's so cool. You can try them on the model.
Yes.
So I did a fitting and it fits her shoulders perfectly.
Oh, wonderful.
Almost like you measured it, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Almost
So-
like it was made to fit.
Absolutely. So very fun. And going to France on Monday, looking forward to hitting a couple of yarn stores in Paris.
Oh,
So that'll be neat.
yes.
I was looking to get some Rame Brulee, but none of them seem to have it, just like everywhere else.
No, what? What
Rame
is-
Brulee, it's French merino wool.
Oh, I don't know
It's a
that.
merino breed,
I
but it's,
see. Oh,
but I
I
would
got
think
it.
it's a French breed, they should have it, but no, nowhere yet.
Wonder why.
Still looking.
Strange.
Are you looking for yarn or fiber?
Yarn.
Yarn.
Spun yarn.
Yes.
I will never spin it. I want it like pre-spun. But I have to get some wool in Paris just to make something.
Yes, you can't travel to another
Absolutely.
country and not buy
And
yarn.
not buy wool. Who do that?
Right.
You should see the wool I got from Ireland. I had like truckloads. You'd think I had a suitcase when I got back, full of just yarn. I had tons of it,
Ugh. Yeah,
but fun. What a great place to buy wool.
I usually have to make sure I have extra space in my suitcase when I'm leaving so I can have room to put it in when I come back. It was so funny that Denise was talking about how much she hates Intarsia. We took a trip to Brooklyn Tweed, which is a yarn producer, I guess you'd call them. Is that
Mhm.
is that what you would call them?
Yeah.
They put together American grown sheep with American spinners, with American dyers, and they just coordinate all the effort across all these different organizations, and then they sell the yarn. And I picked out 4 colors, and I don't know why. Let me spotlight myself. I picked out 4 colors, and I've been toying with an idea for a long time to do an Intarsia sweater in the round. Now, Intarsia in the round,
That's busy.
there's a few ways to do it. There's only one that produces true Intarsia at every join and no extra stitches where you reverse directions in the middle of a color or anything like that. And I have studied how to do it, and I finally decided I'm just going to go ahead and try knitting a baby sweater using it. And here's what I've got so far.
Oh, sweet. Oh, very nice. So are you using bobbins or are you doing the butterfly method?
Neither one.
You have all the balls hanging? Oh, God, love you.
Oh.
That's a lot of twisting.
Ugh. Mm.
I use bobbins.
I find that if I every time I twist the yarn, I follow it to the ball and I pick it up and pull it under that yarn and move it over. They
Yeah.
don't get twisted.
How
Okay,
slow.
yeah. But boy, you gotta
Except
sit
at
in the
every
same
color change.
spot.
There are not that many color changes. You see, in this design, they're big blocks of color.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah,
like I'm
which-
doing it 5 times with 5 bobbins across a section. If I was doing that, I would use bobbins, but
You saw my fishbone hoodie, right? I have a hoodie that's got fishbone on it. It's like, it looks like a fish skeleton. That's Intarsia on that sweater.
oh,
And it, you know, you can carry over some of them, you carry up, but it was, thank goodness for bobbins.
yes.
I would have torched it.
I did have to take off some segments, but I just pulled out a lot of yarn. I've only got one skein of each, so I'm just exploring the possibility of doing a sweater like this in the future.
It's a great way to do vertical stripes. Beautiful.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting that Denise said she would never do Intarsia again, and I just spent the last couple of days doing Intarsia.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have never done Intarsia in the round because back then it was you knitted pieces and put them together.
Oh,
In the 90s, you didn't.
oh,
do-
you mean you knitted flat, and the
you
Intarsia was
knitted
knitted
flat,
flat.
yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And I knitted a pair of socks with Intarsia once, and used a different technique.
Uh-huh.
And it's at the back of the sock, you do something magic to hook 2 stitches together and then turn it and then go in the other direction. And it makes this wiggly looking little ugly seam down the back of the sock. And I thought, well, I never want to have a sweater with that all the way down it. And then Suzanne has done a video on Intarsia in the round. And I bought a book that says it teaches Intarsia in the round. And so I tried it a few months ago, and all I got was a jumbled mess. I just couldn't keep track of what I was supposed to do where. And I said, this can't be that hard. I can learn this. So I have finally figured out how to do it. And it's absolutely perfect. It's like each round, the colors end up linking together at every juncture, exactly the way they're supposed to. You
Wow.
just have to do a few extra little things that are surprising. You have to figure out how to do.
I always look for an Argyle sock pattern in the round, which is Intarsia.
Uh-huh.
But they're better if you seam them up so you can match the points.
That's right.
I'm gonna figure it out one day,
You
just to do in the true round Argyle.
right. Yeah, this would be a technique you could do that. Do you do the horizontal lines as duplicate stitch after the fact, or do you do them as part of it as you knit them?
Duplicate stitch,
You do.
because otherwise it's too much.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
you have to do one for the master's program. And it was the first time I'd ever done Argyle, and probably the only time I will ever do it in my life because I hated doing it. But
There's an Argyle.
I chose the opposite choice to knit the diagonal color. And since then, I have reviewed a number of people who've knitted this, and I always notice the ones who do duplicate stitch always look so much better than the ones that knit it in along with the Intarsia.
Now, are they both correct in masters?
They're both correct as long as the stitches look the right size. But the problem is, if you don't use the duplicate stitch method, it's a very strong tendency to make those colored stitches almost disappear and
Right, because the
reappear.
yarn pulls.
Yeah, the yarn pulls, and so you
Yeah.
get all sorts of problems that way,
Mm.
and so it won't be acceptable if stitches have been or look like that. So if you do it that way, you have to make sure the stitches are all very visible.
I'm
So-
hoping to dive into my masters when I get back from France.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So let's see. Now, David, I guess it's time for us to come to you and answer any questions you got.
With this group, I'm out of my league, so I'll try to be brief. I successfully did crocheted. Let me just tell you where I am. I'm at the
Okay.
separate sleeves from the body,
Yes.
and we talked about having a line underneath the arm. So I followed the directions for casting on the left-hand side, and it seemed to work fine. So that's where I am.
And
Here's
then
my.
you knitted across them, or you haven't? Oh,
I knitted across them, and
Uh-huh.
then when I got to the body itself, I knitted 2 stitches, thinking, am I going to go all the way around the sweater to the other sleeve?
yeah. You
So
are.
that's okay.
This
So I
this is when you're isolating the body itself is the full round, and everything is still done in the round. You're going across the front, across the left sleeve, across the back, across the right sleeve, underneath the sleeve, I mean.
Yeah. So when I get to the other sleeve, I essentially repeat.
You do exactly the same thing. That's right. Hold it
I
up
shall ask-
again. Hold it up
I shall
again.
ask more questions.
Okay, just I want to see what you got yet first.
I hope.
Well,
If I-
I can tell that looks great. And
Yeah.
and you've got waist yarn holding all the other stitches, the same color yellow waist. And
Yes, and
Yeah.
that was a mistake. From now on, whenever I do this, I will change the color from the waist to the provisional. And I think I'll even use other colors on the other sleeves so that I know which side I'm on. I'm still trying to figure out what, each time I take up this sweater, I have to relearn where I am in it. But
yes, well, you can also just put a marker onto the right arm, and that will tell you which one is.
And I did that.
Yeah.
You're right. And there's the evidence. There's the right one.
There you are.
So
Yes,
I
never take that off. Never take that off.
No, ma'am.
I mean, I make my kids try it on and it still has it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's still on. Yeah.
I took mine off as soon as I was finished sewing everything together.
Well,
I
yes,
never
that's it.
put one in.
Until then. You're
am I
kidding,
gonna-
Ron. Oh, that's heretical. I would be so confused if I didn't have that.
Yeah.
I made a really funny mistake at that point of the sweater. I am knitting a flat brioche scarf at the same time as this sweater.
Okay.
Brioche is yarn over slip, yarn
Right.
over slip, yarn
Yeah.
over slip. I took it out twice before I figured out I was doing a slip. I was a make one right slip. It
That'll
was
teach
so tight, you couldn't have put a pin in those stitches. So I had to rip it up, like, oh, really stupid, slow down, I kept saying. Slow down, whatever, but it was funny, I figured it out. It looks great when you don't slip that stitch. Make one right, knit, make one left, there you go, just like it says. Oh, so frustrating. But I do with the waist yarn there too. I use a sock yarn because it slips out so nice, and it doesn't leave any fibers behind of another color.
I tend to use a cotton yarn for the same reason.
Yeah.
This is what I just pulled out of mine. Just a scrap of
Hey,
cotton.
Ron.
Hi. I just started the second sleeve
Okay, is that a sock yarn?
It's a DK weight cotton.
Cotton? Yeah. Yeah, I have cotton. The other sweater I made was cotton, so.
But I've got a lot of little loose balls of yarn hanging around here, you might not believe. So it's usually I grab something at hand. But yeah, I like just 1 or 2 sizes lighter because I'm working with an Aran. So I put in a DK and I
I love
crochet
Aran.
stitches to keep them on because I don't know why, because I like it arbitrarily.
So show us your sweater, Ron. What are you doing this time?
What am I? I finished a sleeve yesterday. So I've been busy.
Oh.
We were saying before you arrived, read the Alamo Draft House and where I've been. I'm designing a show right now. Theatrically, I'm doing a scenic design that has been eating up my time at home. So this got stranded with no
Ooh.
sleeve.
Oh, very nice.
Now it has
Beautiful.
one sleeve.
Yeah.
And the other one is coming along. So I just picked that up today.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I
I
like that.
concentrate, which I won't. I'll have this other second seam bound off tomorrow, and I can start the process of weaving in all these ends because that's a lot of stripes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not carrying
Ron-
the yarn up, I guess, because there are too many colors.
Ron,
No,
how
they're
do
too
you
many
do
colors.
your Ron? How do you do your jogless jogs?
One of a few different ways. It depends on what I'm
Okay.
close to. Close to the underarm, I didn't want too many things woven in here because that's where I'm
Mhm.
changing. So I did stacked circles. I just stopped the color, went back 5 or 6 stitches, and attached the new yarn. And I weave it in from there.
Right.
And that was just because I would have too many tails woven in the underarm
In
Oh,
the
right.
same
front.
spot. Yeah.
And I wanted to get it away from there. I don't usually do that because you had to do some finessing. In the
Mhm.
main body, I do the standard slip the stitch and
Okay.
then move the
So it's
marker.
the first one and then move it. Okay.
You can see, where is this? Where are they? Did they weave themselves in while I wasn't looking?
Hopefully, that would be nice.
Wouldn't that be great?
Maybe the laundry fairy does that.
Oh, here. Yeah, so you can see maybe
Just barely. Yeah.
it
Okay.
just
Yeah.
it
All right.
travels over.
Yeah.
Oh,
The jog is still visible now because they haven't been woven in. They're
Right.
Right.
But when you weave it in, it's
hanging
good.
out.
Yeah, because
And
that
then-
was the way I did it when I did it on Jimmy's sweater. But I mean, that's only 3 stripes.
And
It's
then
a
under
lot,
the
yours
arm,
is a lot more.
I do nothing because it's
okay.
bracketed by decreases and it's very easy to
So
hide,
it's not gonna.
and you see
okay.
nothing once they're woven in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So
Excellent.
at the under the arm, at those decreases, I just change before the SSK.
oh,
And when you weave it in,
That's a good idea.
it's perfectly invisible and it saves me the heartache of things being weird on my needle or eventually my DPNs.
uh-huh.
So bracketing
I'm writing
the
that down.
bracketing the arm decreases, I do nothing. So it's a 3 for stacked circles, the slipped jogless jog, and I hate that it's called a jogless jog because you can't
know,
have a
but
jogless
that's-
jog, a jogless color change. Thank you.
It's kind of like it's what do they have an open
point.
ditch?
Everyone
It's
calls
like
it that.
a
It's
ditch is
jogless
open.
jog. No, jogless jogging is how I exercise. That's a jogless. Thank you. Tip your waitresses. I'll be here all week. Yeah. So, and it all depends.
You're
I
great,
did a
Ron.
little
Thank
swatching
you.
to make sure that the color change didn't do anything weird
Oh, thunder.
by the decreases. But no, if I don't know.
No, that's a good idea. I wrote that down.
Once
So
they're
I can remember it.
pulled taut and woven in, they really, oh, there, see?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Mhm.
just gone
Mhm.
because it brackets those decreases. No fuss there, which is
Nice.
probably the only reason I'm getting through putting stripes on the sleeves. I was very angry with myself. And I was like bargaining with myself. Like, what if the sleeves just like, what if the stripes just stop?
Yeah,
Stop
right.
there.
And it's a solid
Maybe I'll
color.
just put one sleeve down on the
Right.
the
Yeah.
forearm.
I mean, so that was the bargain I made with myself. No, you have to do stripes the whole way, but you don't have to do a color change special technique. We'll just weave in.
No,
So
it looks really nice. It
your
looks
color
really nice.
bands, your color bands fit the number of rows between decreases. I mean, rounds between
Yes.
decreases.
They do.
So that's convenient to do.
It is convenient. See, the body is forced perspective stripes. It makes the chest look larger. It makes the shoulders look larger. Because the stripes get smaller as it goes.
Right.
But the stripes on the sleeve stayed the same size as they were when the body divided.
Now, for most people's patterns, the number of stitches between decreases changes once partway down the sleeve. Did that
It
happen? in yours?
changed from 9
Yeah.
or from 10 to 9.
And you just changed the yarn. So you did shorter bands.
Worked out perfectly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, work smarter, not harder. and the goal of the sweater was to give that sort of optical effect where it makes the upper body look more substantial. It's manly. So the stripes and like at a glance, it doesn't look like anything different is going on with the
No,
sleeve,
it doesn't.
Oh,
but it is quite different.
Ron,
Yes.
this is Rana. I love
Hi,
your
Rana.
color choices, and I especially like the placement of them.
Thank you very much.
In other words, it's not a gradient. You made it so
No.
it's really striking.
Yeah, it's 2 shades of a cool or a warm gray, and then the cream and the brown. And this yarn is just like, it's so soft, but these are absolutely not colors for me. Even though I just wear the black V-neck every day.
What yarn is that, Ron?
This is band Air by Wool Addicts.
Mhm.
oh.
Incredibly light. I was describing it before. It's a a blown twisted yarn.
Oh,
So
okay.
it gives the effect of a loosely spun singles, but it's durable. It doesn't break like a loosely spun singles would, but it is woolly. This is an extremely light sweater, just super light. Even like a DK sweater weight that I made in the same size of a normal DK is probably half again the weight of
Oh,
this
that's kind of
sweater.
cool.
It's an incredibly light, warm sweater. I think my dad is very, very cold. Like if he had his way, we would all live in like an orchid hothouse.
Yeah, my sister's like that.
I just like the rest of us are sweltering when we visit. Just like, what are you doing? Open a window. So this was, I think, the warmest, cuddliest, softest yarn I could find in like traditionally masculine look, which you may have noticed from my other Phrankkos aren't necessarily the way I work and design.
Yeah.
But I can do it.
Yeah.
It has a forced perspective op art touch because I'm a strange man, but at least it's brown and gray.
Well, thank you for showing us all that, Ron. That was great.
Absolutely.
I'd like to share something that happened. Where am I? I want to see if I can highlight myself.
Look like you're at home. You're right by principles of
Why
knitting.
am I not showing up on speaker view when I talk?
There you are.
Are you?
Yes,
You are for me. You are.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to spotlight me for this. I am thrilled to tell you all that I was interviewed for a video interview by Irina Shar, who has a YouTube channel that where she interviews all kinds of people in different crafts, fiber crafts, and it's called Fiber Chats. That's her
Good.
channel. She's a great interviewer. She's just easy to talk with. And she had interviewed Suzanne before, and she's interviewed Donna Eston, and Donna recommended me to be interviewed. Donna, as you may recall, used a Phrancko pattern as the basis of her latest published pattern in Cast On magazine. And so she loved the pattern and recommended that I be interviewed. And so I did this interview yesterday. And one of her questions was, do you find that when people knit one of your sweaters, they tend to want to come back and knit more?
Yes.
And I'm hearing all of you today, not all of you, but you know, a large number of you have said, this is my second, my third, my fourth Phrancko sweater. Cindy, I think, is on her sixth. Ron, I think you're on your sixth or seventh. I mean,
This is my 7th, yeah. And I got Swatch for the next one.
I told her that people often do knit more than one and find it's a palette for doing design work themselves. And I also reported to her that sometimes on the Ravelry forum, somebody will say, I just knit my first Phrancko sweater and I'll never knit another kind of sweater.
Yeah.
And so we had that discussion, and later in the talk, she said, I believe I got this right. She said it twice, and I was so blown away by it, I couldn't believe it. She said, I think this is the greatest sweater knitting advance of the century.
Good.
It's the one in the 20s.
Whoa.
I said, I cannot accept that. I can just say I helped develop this idea. And, you know, a lot of people brought me to the place where I'd be able to do that. I did not invent it, but, and then she repeated it later. She just thought it was the best. And she's going to show up here one of these days. She's going to be knitting her own Phrancko sweater. But that interview will be displayed starting in January. So she's already got videos to be published every week up until then. And so I just was thrilled that I could tell her that the group, I talked about this group and how much fun it is and how we really have formed a community here, and yet it's not a closed community. New people are welcome all the time, and it's a very welcoming group, and we just have so much fun together and laugh so much and enjoy being together every week. So, and that a number of people in this group are knitting multiple sweaters. That was so great. So thank you all. Thank you all for your support and for helping spread the word about the Phrancko sweater pattern. She asked me how I was doing marketing, and I said, I've done everything else and I do not know how to do marketing, and I just don't do any. I just count on people telling their friends that this is a thing that they want to do. So I'm always telling everyone, please share your pictures on Instagram and Facebook and tell your friends what you think. So that said, I will remove myself from the spotlight, and Rana, you have your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to ask Cindy how her mom is.
Oh, thanks, Rana. Mom is doing a lot better. We're still not sure that she'll be able to stay by herself anymore. She is 91, but she's up and walking around. She can dress, she can transfer from the chair and back and forth, and she's just not having pain. We're having physical therapy coming twice a week, and my sister and I are staying with her all the time. We do about 12-hour shifts, so when I'm not on, then I take naps. But she is doing a lot better, and it's really been nice to just spend a lot of time with her and
Good.
Tell funny stories and all the things. Some of the things I did when I was a kid, it's pretty crazy. But it's been nice. But she's doing a lot better. It was just a month ago. Thank you for asking, Rana.
You betcha.
Well, we're all very pleased to hear that. Some of you may not know that Cindy's mother fell and broke her tailbone, and
fractured the pelvis.
yeah,
Must be painful.
and she's being
It
cared for
was,
at
but
home
she's not
by
now.
her
So
sister.
she's done really
And
good.
Cindy and her sister are caring for her at home because of COVID. There were no place to put her in the hospital.
Mhm.
You're a hero, Cindy.
Wait.
Well, thank you.
So how are we doing on time here?
10 more minutes.
About 10 more minutes.
Judith, looks like Judith is back, Frank. I don't know if she had any questions. or stuff.
My
Judith.
well, I still have one thing I have to figure out to purchase my first pattern.
What is that?
With the actual with my actual body measurement, if I choose the 1-inch ease sweater, the distance between the shoulders and the height of the armhole is too small. So I figured I have to modify my body measurement to the point where I can get something closer to what I should get from the sweater.
Where are you measuring your shoulders to decide that it's too small? Where on your shoulders? Where are you measuring? Here,
Okay,
here.
I measure a sweater that I like, so where the seams are.
From seam to seam. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And what is it? What is its measurement? And compared to the one you're
I'm getting on what I've measured on the sweater, I'm close to 15 inches and I get 13, I think.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty big difference.
It is. So
let me just say that the shoulder width is entirely determined by your chest measurement.
Right.
So if you want the shoulder to get wider, you have to say your chest is wider.
Right.
And you can, and then if that pushes your body width too large, you can just do a tighter fit to adjust the body back down without short shoulders.
Okay, so I would have to instead of the snug, I would I don't remember the name. So it's either tight or snug, something like that.
Right. Use a different number of inches of ease.
Okay.
If you say your body is actually 2 inches bigger than you measured it to be, and you have to, I mean, this seems unlikely to me, but it usually isn't the case that you have to do this, but this is how you would fix this if this problem is accurate. You would increase the body and say, I'm actually 2 inches bigger than I measured myself to be. And then I'm going to subtract 2 inches from the ease that I chose. So instead of doing the ease for plus 1 inch, I might do ease of minus 1 inch to take off the extra body stitches.
Okay.
So that's how to adjust the program to get it to produce the size that you think you need. Now, having said that, I will ask Cindy, because she's very experienced. Cindy, how often do you think that the shoulders are too narrow?
I've never had it happen. And I've done, I'm on a 6 sweater for very different people with very different sizes, from a child to adult women to an adult sized man over 6 foot. And they kind of look like they are when you first start doing it, but they're not, because it is to the bone. It's not where a lot of times where where the seam goes. The seam a lot of times goes more. So
a little
really
inside.
It's a little inside. It's right to the bone, but then it does fit, and it fits perfect in the underarm and doesn't pull or anything.
Okay.
And
Because
I
how,
haven't had to-
how often do you start a sweater and think, oh, this one's not going to be
Oh,
wide
every
enough?
time I do, and every time I knit it and I get down and I'm like halfway through the arms and it's like, oh gosh, this is not going to fit. It's going to be way too tiny. It's not going to work. I'm going to have to give it to a littler grandkid. But you put it on and it does. It just fits the shoulders just perfectly.
yes, but I'm not there yet. I'm referring to the schematic before I purchase the pattern.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
that's why I was a little
Well,
hesitant.
you might also try this. Find the bone on each shoulder and you
Right.
tape measure and hold it across there and see what that measurement is. And is it
Instead of measuring a sweater.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people do often measure sweaters, but maybe the sweater droops wider, you know, you don't know. And you like the fit, but that may not be the exact architecture of my sweater.
Right,
So
right.
it's a better measurement to measure, you know, where you feel the bone on the top of your shoulder. And even that, you know, is it the outside of the bones or the inside? That'll be a difference of an inch right there. But somewhere in that neighborhood should be the right distance that you see in your sweater.
Okay. And same thing for the height of the
Yeah.
armhole. I should increase the
You
arm's
should-
circumference, right?
You should not worry about the armhole depth.
No?
Nope,
Okay,
that is not.
because
What you need to worry about is the arm circumference and make sure that's what you want. The
Okay.
armhole depth that is guaranteed to take care of itself. And it may not be what another sweater measures, but
okay.
everybody uses the
It
pattern
works.
and it works. And then they come back and say, I've never had a pattern fit so well.
Ah,
That
great.
I'm bragging, but I'm actually trying to get
No.
No.
what people
I have
really
to
have
concur.
said to me.
My niece is really petite. She's very petite. She's not 5 foot tall. And she is a 36-inch bust.
Whoa.
And her hips are, so, and then her waist is 26. Right?
Yeah.
So we had a couple fittings. So I thought, like Cindy, oh, this is too small. She's never gonna get her head in there. Put it right over her. It sat so beautifully on her shoulders. And I was like, he must know what he's doing. I'm just making the sweater. Like, what happens? I mean, if it's too big, I'll throw it in the wash. You know, but it really, it sits on those shoulders beautifully. I would say, like Phrancko, don't measure a sweater.
Okay.
This is not that
Okay.
sweater. Like, you're not piecing a sweater, right? If you were to have to measure a sweater, make sure it's a sweater that was top down.
It is not.
Okay, right,
That
top
is
down raglan maybe. Other than that, you're gonna be a little wonky. It might not fit on your shoulders.
Okay.
Just my
Okay.
advice.
Thanks. Thanks
Now,
for
after
your
all that-
advice.
After all that, if you take our advice and the sweater doesn't fit, we're going to be really sorry.
Yeah.
No,
that's-
it-
You can always
Well,
frog
but you
it.
don't have to do very much to find out if it is going to fit.
That's
Just do
true.
the beginning part and
Put it
partway
on.
down the sleeves to where you've gathered, where you've connected in the front, and then you can try it on and see how it works.
right.
Yeah,
That's
Right.
right. And it's
Right.
really not that much knitting to get to that point.
It's not much knitting to get to see.
yeah, no.
So that means that next week for our next Zoom meeting, I should have something to show you.
Oh, yes.
All
Show
right.
and tell. Mm.
Perfect. Wonderful.
And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and I'm gonna no longer be working Saturday.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
good.
So I should actually be able to join you.
Yay, congratulations.
We love having you here. And it's so good to see you again, Sumner. It really is.
Thanks.
I've been thinking about you from time to time and wondering how you're doing. Well, it's about that time, folks. Does anybody have one more question or one more thing they want to show us before we leave? It's real close to the end of the hour. Nobody?
I'll show next week.
Here I am.
Okay.
Oh,
I just,
And
I,
Rana texted to the chat, thank you all. That's sweet.
Bye, Rana.
to show my latest swatch. This will be
Ooh,
the very next Phrancko. So
Oh,
I tested 3 needle sizes, which
Oh,
is
is that
why
what you're
it's such a
doing? Okay.
long
I see.
swatch.
yeah.
It's got 3
Cool.
needle sizes in because I didn't know what kind of fabric I wanted. And it turns
Yeah.
out I want this kind. That's a little too dense, but
And what kind of yarn are you using?
this is Malabrigo Rios.
Mm,
I like that yarn.
me too.
And so this is going to be a Henley. And I've chosen this color particularly to look kind of filthy. This will be, so I'm making like a dingy work Henley. The Henley is the last neckline I've yet to make. So this will be it. I'll have to find something else to do next year.
Oh, no. Yeah, they'll need to add some more necklines.
Right. Okay, we can brainstorm.
Well, thank you all. It's been a wonderful event again. I appreciate
was.
it.
thank you.
Just always so, I come away from these meetings just feeling so good every week after week, and it's so wonderful to spend time with you. Sidra, I didn't hear much from you today. I hope you're doing well.
Oh, I'm doing fine. I've just been working on hats and I never want to touch super bulky yarn again. I hate it.
I see.
Oh, could you?
Mary, I also want to make sure you had your chance. Did you have something you want to share with us, Mary?
3 more projects or swatches in boot camp 3, and I'm through with that. And maybe I'll get back to my Phrancko.
All right.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Bye. All 3 levels of boot camp. That's awesome. That is great.
Yeah.
Well, Denise is in boot camp 3 also.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in the same one.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. I didn't know there was a knitting community before I got my master's certificate. I didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
And when I discovered it, it's like, where has this group been all my life? It's all so many wonderful people and so many caring and friendly people. It's anyway, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you're here.
It's
Same
nice.
here.
Have a nice
Thanks,
week.
Frank.
Bye, everyone. Have a
next
great
week.
Okay.
week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Now,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.